So I'm sharing for Sunday. Today's Thursday. I'm going to be making a few videos to catch up on the week. It was very busy for me. So first, talking about from this class I took at the Kabbalah Center on reincarnation. As a human, in this life, so I can speak, versus like a bee which can't. As a woman, this life, to learn my lessons. Fearing death happens when we haven't finished our work in this life. So that's a pretty big, sense of like, when we think of the body, the nefesh, it stays with the body at the death. There's three levels of the soul, the nefesh, ruach, and the neshama. The nefesh is the mundane, which was made positive. The ruach is the energy life force, and the neshama is the most elevated divine spark. The ruach and neshama give light to the nefesh, which is most connected to the body. The nefesh stays at the body at death. It doesn't have more than a residue then. At burial, the earth extracts the nefesh, which is like a 7-day process, 30-day process, and 11-month process, which all happen. And for a righteous person, the nefesh actually leaves immediately with the ruach and neshama. Righteousness is to experience daily the blessings of the Creator, living as a being of sharing, here to elevate the collective consciousness, spending every moment transforming past egoic consciousness of receiving for the self alone, and all because of a felt sense experience that every moment, my chapter of living, correcting any soul attachment, could end and I could die. So we each get a special death destined for us. 30 days before the death, the universe knows and prepares. Even the birds are said to proclaim it. Tselem is the glue between the body and the soul we get from conception that starts to leave like a shadow before death departure. Some can see it coming. Hell is the frustration at not feeding self, and heaven is feeding each other. So the cause is never physical. The time between reincarnation depends on how close the soul is to correcting, because when we look at what is pain, it's how far we are from our true self purpose. Our true self, our true purpose. And one thing to be known, and sometimes there isn't a reincarnation that happens, but rather someone can be possessed. We could call it a demonic energy, or a pregnancy of a spirit that helps give extra powers. One that takes and one that gives. Now I'm going to talk to different patterns. Attachment and avoidance. Pushiness comes from attachment, like, for example, we call it attachment to outcome, and avoidance. And then how to be here now and to counteract any intimacy blocks. It's all part of, what it calls to sin, what it is to set ourselves free from codependency. So avoidance patterns is when we act in ways that invite others to reject, shame, express anger toward us. We avoid ourselves through others avoiding us. It might be using indirect or evasive communication, avoiding emotional, physical, or sexual intimacy, suppressing feelings or the needs to avoid vulnerability, and pulling people toward, but then pushing away when they get close. Refusing to give up a self-will, and withholding expressions of appreciation, and believing that emotional displays are a sign of weakness. Pushiness or attachment patterns can be not letting people stand up for themselves, wearing other people down for a yes or whatever is wanted, afraid the needs won't get met, having to figure out now versus at the right time, and mistaking passion for something bad, thinking that I or you or whoever knows the whole story from a glimpse or just peeking in. It's deliberately testing boundaries. It's not taking me time for quieter reflection, and it doesn't matter if it's grounding music, walking, stretching, like yoga kind of thing, meditation, breathing, an inspiring lecture in nature. Knowing that when we feel unsafe and cannot admit it, the defensive and more domineering nature comes out. We become difficult to be with. And when we've not been putting ourselves first, we end up people-pleasing and thinking we need to turn somewhere else or to someone else versus within. And this can cause us to fall out of gratitude and forget about whomever is meant for us will actually flow. And we don't need to force the control. Like a waterfall happens in a natural gravitational force way. When we try to be in two places at the same time or in two times while in the same place, it's like this past future thing. It can block us from what's available for us in the right now. When we want to counteract intimacy blocks, it's like we can get attention from many places, not just one. Remember, people all have pain and loneliness and shame, and we can orient to learning from rather than teaching someone in life. And remembering each person is a precious and innocent tool, instrument from the divine. We're all here to wake each other up, and there's nothing we need to hide about ourselves. We can be true to the real me or the real you without confusing someone's availability for their accessibility, and taking accountability for all triggers and defensiveness with respect for the self, knowing that anything we're judging in someone else exists for us too. And when we see ourselves and everyone else as vulnerable babies born into a world, we have no idea what's going on. Each moment is new and open-ended. So we can really choose only which angle to approach, and we can choose positivity, light, benefit of the doubt, and who knows better does better on the way, and being and generating blessing and presence, and not competing with people in life and letting them shine, appreciating their uniqueness, or even my uniqueness, each one, right? Appreciating uniqueness without anything to prove, and even appreciating others' developmental challenges. These are two types of appreciate. One is to see the value of, and one is to see the effort of. But to be here, now is recognizing we're all here to do better. We're here to, I'm going to say I'm here to keep doing better. I'm here to shine and remind everyone who forgot their light. Anyone. I'm here to love past versions of me that cannot comprehend or perceive what I know now about life. I'm here to hold the suffering, abandonment, discarded, lonely, scared, anxious, forgotten, hopeless, and ashamed people in my heart, people who feel they've fallen through the cracks and are completely alone and uncared for. I'm here to speak of the glory and goodness of God and remind all that it's never too late to return to love again. And even if they forgot their vows, to make space for the light. I'm here to be the love I wish to see in the world. I'm here to remind people they are here for a reason. Their existence and their lessons are intended, and I'm here to remind people that there's always now, this present moment, and we can feel the blessing and energy of divine light, force, and infinite intensity if we arrive. I'm going to talk about what it is really to be sinning, and it's hating past self, hating past me, blaming myself for the discards or abandonments in my life as if it was a punishment, forgetting to shine as good and holy, and thinking someone has more of my answers than me, like a specific person. Running from the shaking, breaking grief, not witnessing, bearing, or yielding to the love I'm currently receiving because I forgot how good and how lovable I am in the moment. Glamorizing suffering, expecting credit for sacrificing or being a martyr, willing to have someone people please and put me first, aka want others to sin against themselves and make me their higher power, not thanking and loving my body that's my best friend, most loyal companion, protector, with its infinite wisdom and healing, and expecting recognition, confirmation, validation, and commendment from humans I serve, instead of trusting that it only needs to come from God in whatever form it's meant to. And trying to keep someone in something and cling and hold on, forgetting the flow, the current. And this, for me, is codependency, where when I look into it, I see that knowing right away that something is bad, is wrong and still ignoring it, gaslighting and blaming myself. I can learn to trust myself, but I was raised where anger, unforgiving, unmerciful, criticizing was more acceptable than sharing hurt. And favoritism really hurts so much. The triangulation and jealousy cuts deep. And I feel like when I don't take care of myself, I start to see the draining, selfish, narcissistic, needy patterns come out. And, inclined towards a rejection story, earning the love of a rejector, versus being playful and trusting myself to have fun. Remembering I used to be shamed for laughing, letting my hair down, letting loose, and therefore worrying about others' right and wrong views rather than my values when I deny and rationalize controlling myself and others in the future, choosing based on fear of being alone or believing someone else has to approve, or not speaking up for my boundaries, and seeing that people are really so willing to open their buckets and take. For me, it's a part of a story coming off my program and routines to invest in someone else. And in order to set myself free, there's neurological benefits to interrupting these patterns and recreating the pattern where for example, I'll be rejected means having to respond the same way as before. There's no room for options, also known as growth from creativity, impossibilities. Whatever I truly accept in myself and make peace with is something I don't need to seek approval for. So if I self-nurture, self-validate, self-respect, self-affirm, I don't need anyone to love those parts of me that I was conditioned into believing are unlovable. And that frees up energy to just directly love that part of me. It cuts out the unnecessary middleman of involving someone else in myself, which is codependency. And this can be spending time with myself, calmly, silently, alone, by choice, choosing me, the real me. It calms my nervous system, and I feel the divinity of life as love and beauty. When I pigeonhole myself, it's because I'm consistently responding the same way without prioritizing myself, without ignoring distractions, but it has me being consistent for others to rely on, but doesn't actually support me or improve my consciousness. And when I don't do that, I'm really setting myself free. All right, that's all for now.